Welcome to Caffeinated Coverage Talk with Todd and Michelle. I am Michelle Berndt, president and partner,
And I'm Todd Hall, CEO and founder.
and we are thrilled to have our first guest, Mr. Jim Stoddard. He is the CEO and founder of FA On Call. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, and let's do a little cheers.
Yeah,
You
let's do
can't have
cheers.
a caffeinated
Get
coverage
coffee.
talk without some coffee, so cheers, my friend.
Got my hot Yeti here,
Cheers.
so
And
Cheers.
what is your favorite cup of coffee? Do you just like it straight black, no cream and sugar, or do you like it fattening like me?
no, I'm straight with only cream with no sugar. And if I had to
What?
have a go-to, it would be, believe it or not, McDonald's is like my favorite. And I'll tell you a little trick, and I'm old enough to get away with this, but you don't have to. If you go through the drive-through and you order a senior coffee, it's only like 87 cents. And by the time you get up there, they're not going to take it back. So even if I look like I'm under the age, so
And no
Well,
one, no one's ever going to
you're
ask
not
your
old enough.
age. People do. People aren't going to do that.
but
Michelle,
yeah,
I love it.
What is your favorite coffee?
So it's fall, right? It's officially here. In fact, it's cooled down in Texas. I love it. Anything pumpkin, but I always say I like coffee with my creamer. So I like the fattening lattes, but anything pumpkin. What about you, Todd?
I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy. Yeah,
You
it's my
are.
that's my go-to. Dunkin' Donuts with a little cream and sugar. Yeah, I've tried to cut back on it, but I only drink coffee on two occasions, day and night. I know
I knew it. I
I
knew it was
do.
coming.
Yeah. All right, I'll be quiet. No more jokes.
And that's a wrap. No, I'm just kidding. Well, Jim, we are so thankful. I personally use your product, so I was really excited to have you on as a guest. So let's just dive in. So let's first, for our listeners, tell us how long FA On Call has been around, and like where did the inspiration even come to start a company like this?
yeah. So it's interesting, Michelle. We've actually depends on what form we look at, but I had this idea several years ago. It's 2025 right now. I want to say 2018 was sort of the genesis of this. And the whole idea was to have at least the delivery system to change the industry, to be able to do things like teledoc and, the things that we were seeing. And at that time, people were still really nervous about getting online and doing these things and were overwhelmed by it. And the pandemic, with all the bad things that came out of that, some
Mm,
good things came out of it. And people realized that Zoom, that we're on now, is pretty easy to use, and it became something that people got used to. And so that's when we officially started the company, is right after that period of time, and got it up and going. The genesis of it was really just my lifelong passion. I've been in this business for 30 years, and just I've seen middle class in particular just get completely ignored by the financial services industry. Um, 99% of the people that come into the financial services industry are going for the top 1%. They're trained that way. The system is set up for that way. It's certainly not their fault, but that's the business model. And there's many times that I would see people who just needed help, needed advice,
yeah.
and there was no way to deliver that. And so we're trying to use this platform to deliver advice to people, independent advice, which is typically just been, something that the ultra wealthy are able to access and sort of democratize that. I know that's a buzzword these days, but just sort of bring it down so everybody, the average Joe can get the help that they need. Because it's such a vital, important thing in our lives is being able to understand personal finance, and that affects every other aspect of our life.
And they deserve access. Just
Right?
like every American deserves healthcare, every American deserves to be financially stable and have that comfort.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not funny. It's actually tragic. They don't teach this stuff in school.
Mm.
I'm looking at my phone right now, if you're wondering why I'm looking down.
Mhm.
My girlfriend actually shared this with me yesterday. This is a meme that's going around the internet right now. It said, "I'm so glad I learned about hexagons in school instead of how to do my taxes. It's really handy during hexagon season." Right? And so our whole
So true.
society, right? Our whole society is set up where we go to school and we take all these classes, and God bless teachers. I love them. I've worked with a lot of them and the school system. Um, but my goodness, I mean, we're not teaching people about personal finance at all. I mean, I got an MBA. I'm a little older. I'm not that old, but I went all the way through school till the age I was 30. I never took a personal finance class, right?
Mm.
Getting a finance degree and an MBA. I mean, nobody taught about life insurance or mortgages or property and casualty insurance and all the things we got to work with every day. And the average person has no clue, and they need help. And so we've set up a platform where we can help all those individuals.
That's good.
Well said, my friend. Yeah, Jim, I was on your website, which, by the way, fantastic, great website, and I was reading that 70% of all Americans, they worry that they'll never be financially independent. That they'll, and that's just such a heavy burden for them to
Mhm.
carry through their lives. And where do you think that stems from? I mean, is the impact of not having access to financial planners, financial planning? Do you think that's what it stems from?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. Number one thing is education, right? And so we're not taught about this. I mean, we can go off into, other aspects of our lives we're not taught about in school. That's a whole other conversation, but we're not taught about this. A lot of times, the information that we do get are from our parents, which lived in a vastly different world than what we live in, or grandparents, where they used to go work for a company for 40 years and get a gold watch and a pension and all that stuff. It doesn't exist anymore, right? And I'll tell you, there's some amazing numbers when it comes to personal finance. Amazing numbers that are just shocking. I mean, it's not only the 70% number that you use. Health wise, 90% of primary care doctor visits are due to some form of stress, right? What is the number
Believe
one
it.
reason for stress? It's personal finance, right?
Correct.
By the way, the next four things are related to finance too, in some capacity. It's the job I'm working in that I'm having to make money for, so I can pay my bills. It's all the things going on in the economy. And, people are stressed out about this stuff and they don't know about it. And it's so confusing. And our financial system is set up in such a way where professionals are compensated to, again, either sell a product or to just work with the wealthy, right? And so the average Joe's out of luck. And as a matter of fact, Michelle, going back to your question, the genesis of this, I mean, there were a lot of little points, but the biggest one that really just made me think, hey, I got to do something about this is I had a firefighter friend who was retired. This guy putting his life, in on the line every day. He's retired and he had a pension. And he asked me, he said, "Hey Jim, you're in this business." He said, I'm getting these statements. I got no idea what's going on. He's like, can you help me with this? And I looked at his statements, and then within, if you've been doing this long enough, it comes to you quickly. But within 5 minutes, I could tell several things. One is he was getting completely screwed by his advisor. Hope we can use that on a family-friendly show, but I mean, it's the truth. It makes me mad.
Believe.
He was getting he was getting charged three times in three ways. He's getting charged $1,000 to be able to come in and speak to his advisor 4 times a year. All right, just to speak to her. He was getting charged for all of his assets under management, which is an ongoing fee. And then within that, he was getting commissioned products under those assets under management that they were making money off of. And by the way, his account was horrible, right? He wasn't doing well. And so I was able to help him with that situation, and he was just so thankful. And I pointed him to the right direction for some people. There was not really, honestly, a way for me as a advisor at that time to make money because at least not in good conscience because he had the stuff he needed. He just needed to have it restructured and put in a different place. And he came to me and he's like, Jim, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's like,
Ah,
I feel so much better. My
yeah.
accounts are great. I understand things. He said, how do I compensate you? And I said, you can't. Our system isn't set up for that way. I didn't say a life
Yeah.
insurance policy. You didn't need a mutual fund, right? You just needed some redirection in some areas. And so,
It's
um,
just like fine tuning. It's like putting together a puzzle. And I think some people think you have to make major financial changes when really it's the small things, the tweaks you can make to get to where you want to be.
exactly. Yeah. And Michelle, and it needs to be comprehensive. You need to have a plan, right?
Mm,
Everybody's busy and they're buying, they buy an annuity, they buy this, but it's not all integrated. And we spend more time planning our vacations than we do planning our life or doing our financial planning, right? You
Yep.
have to have a plan for this stuff. It's so important. People go to
Yeah.
work all day, every day to put money in this 401k, and they pay no attention to the 401k.
Oh, this is such good conversation. I'm a firm believer people don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so when you were talking about like, setting people up for success and no one taught them how to do this stuff, I think of my husband. He's a chiropractor. When you go through chiropractic school, they never teach you how to run a business. They only teach you how to adjust. And you know how many chiropractors go bankrupt because of that.
Yeah.
I also think of my daughter. She's in college now, and kids will graduate college not knowing how to balance a checkbook or even what a check is, or
Yeah,
to know,
exactly.
like, you got to know how much money is coming going out of your account. And, just if the parents don't teach them, where on earth would they learn that stuff?
Yeah, Michelle, I'll tell you, it's actually worse than that. If you're a parent, right, you have to protect your kids when they go to college. I've had three go to college now, and
Now, don't freak me
so
out. I'm
as you
on
can
my first.
imagine, well, as you can imagine, they've had to go through, grew up with the financial planning, dad. I've made them take tests and read books before they go. But, they go into college and they go to the bookstore and they're 18. They buy books and they get this nice little credit card application that comes in with the logo of their school and shows you how
Yep.
cool it can be. And, if you read the fine print there, it's like $250 a year, plus 20 something percent interest rate. It's gonna just fill this out, and they go to school and they get all this debt and into stuff and they got no clue what they're doing.
No, they
And
don't.
they get taken advantage of. I mean, that's just flat out the truth.
At orientation, it wasn't even when school started. At orientation, they already offered that to my daughter, and she walked right up to the table because, of course, they were given the best giveaways. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So let's talk about ideal customer. I mean, obviously, anyone who's financially struggling, which, by the way, speaking of articles, I was reading an article about seasons in marriages and the top things that cause conflict in marriage in those rough seasons. One was communication, and guess what number two was? Finances.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, finances is number one. So the communication is definitely there, but some of the communication breaks down because of the financial stuff.
True, true. You're arguing about money.
Right? But you're so right about that. Um, Yeah, I mean it's every aspect of your life. And we have something in our presentations we show, hey, your physical fitness because of the stress, right? Your quality of life, your enjoyment of life, your relationships, your legacy for your family that you leave on, what you get to do with your life. Whether we like it or not, we hear this romantic stuff. Oh, money's not everything. No, it's not. But let me tell you, life's tough without it, right?
Yeah, and it makes a
And
difference.
and there's only two kinds of people in the world, right? You're either going to be a saver or a borrower, right?
Yeah,
You better figure that out. The sooner you can figure that out, the better. And so you asked, who our ideal customer is.
yeah.
Well, listen, anyone who deals with money, right? I mean,
It's that
you
simple.
need somebody, and it's not the type of thing a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go put it in chat GPT. No, you don't. You need somebody to help you. If you look at the greatest athletes in the world, you look at golfers, you look at quarterbacks, they all have coaches, right? And even if you have that knowledge base, we used to have the CEO of one of the financial companies I work with. He had his own personal advisor. I said, Jack, what are you doing? You know all this. He said, when I deal with the advisor, I don't have any emotion in the game. You
Mm.
know, this guy can help me and look at this and take the emotion out. So no matter who you are, you need that mentorship and that help if you're going to really, go to the next level. And you don't know what you don't know. And even if we have people who are brilliant and they think they can read a book and they're brilliant, but they don't even have access to the tools, to the products and things that a professional has. So you need a professional. And there's stats out there that are very well documented. If you have a professional advisor, you do almost 5% better per year on your investments after costs than if you try to do it on your own. Um, so it's important to have a professional, and we're helping people get access to that.
Correct. Well said. Jim, I don't think there's ever been a time in society where we've been under more stress with finances, financially, both, people in general and employers. We deal with it all the time where there's just so much stress. And you said it earlier, there's an incredible amount of dollar. dollars that are spent on that anxiety, that stress that's costing us. But yeah, if Jim, as with Michelle and I in our business, we work with insurance agents, brokers, carriers, FMOs, IMOs, and we help. Our motto is that we put tools in their toolbox, take the best products and services they can to their customers, and kind of explain to us, why would an insurance broker want to partner with financial advisor on call and offer this to their customers? If we took a
Well,
few minutes.
so I think there's a lot of reasons. Obviously, I believe in the product and what it is and how it helps people. There's statistics, by the way, that show how much productivity is lost with employees, up to $1,900 a year because they're dealing with financial issues and worried about that. By the way, some amazing stats, 68% of employees say they'd rather have a financial planner as a benefit than an extra week paid off of work. I mean, think about that, right? It's a way for employers to have somebody, an independent person, look at all of the benefits that an employee has and help explain it to them and coordinate and integrate them with them. That's just confusing, and every year you gotta have a change. And so it's some assistance there. But I'll tell you, just let's take that out and just let's look at, the day of a salesperson. Um, right? You have to have a story, right? What's your story? How do you get your foot in the door and talk to somebody, right? And so you have to have a story to do that, and you have to have something different. If you call up a business, hey, I got a medical plan. Oh, great, good. All right. I've had 100 other calls on this. But if you have a story to get your foot in the door, I mean, whether they end up using financial advisor on call or not, you've got a contact that you've made. You have a reason to speak with them. What we're doing is different. There's a lot, well, not even a lot. There's a few companies that seem or say that they're doing the same. They're not, right? They have a certain amount of assets you have to have under management to talk to them. They're only focused on one area. Someone will say, oh, we have a 401k guy and they're helping us. No, they're not. They're helping you with the 401k and the allocation there. They're not helping you with all the other investments you have or the insurance needs that you have or helping you with estate planning concepts, all those different types of things. So um, more than anything, someone needs a story. And by the way, we have a way for everyone to win here, so you can have some good compensation here that works and have it as a supplement to all of the other things that you're doing.
Yeah.
You mean you actually get paid for selling this?
You do. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, you make money to
And paid
talk
very
about money?
well.
Well,
Hmm.
we like win and wins for everybody. I'm a
Yeah.
big
Right.
believer, it's not a fixed pie. You make the pie grow bigger, and it's a win for the employee, it's a win for the employer, it's a win for the professional that's helping that business, right? It's a win for our companies, right? We can create
Yeah.
those winning scenarios, and we're doing that through a different model, through technology, something that's different. We're disrupting the industry.
That's good stuff. So we talked about the ideal customer, obviously anyone, any age that you want to plan in place, or maybe you're a little bit older and you're like, okay, I'm getting close to retirement. I got to make sure my finances are in order. Maybe you're actually pretty good with money, but you just want to make sure you want to double check it, right? We talked about insurance brokers because obviously that's what Todd and I, our focus is, right?
Yeah.
So the last bucket I can think of, and I'm curious your thoughts, Jim, is employers. I feel like this would be an absolute added value to offer employees. So talk to our employers out there of why this should be something their team has to excel in.
Yeah, and so we mentioned the need and desire for it. We mentioned the productivity. We use some stats on that. But let me add to this just so everybody's clear, right? We do have advisors and professionals that help, but that's only one part of our platform. We really have three pillars, right? And one of them is education. So we like to educate people. We like to give them the tools to be successful. And then we like to give them coaches to be able to help implement their plan and help them through that, right? So part of our platform is just an educational platform where you can actually go take formal classes. And they're at the level where the average typical person can relate to them, and it's not the boring, you know, old guy sitting there talking about finance. We try to make them pretty interesting with real life people that come in that are experts in different areas. So they can take formal classes. And so a young person, you were saying, going to college, Here's the classes you go take. Let's learn about investments, mortgages, the basics of finance, right? So employers, a lot of them will take those classes. They get certificates. They can do different things with their employees with that as well. We also have organizational tools. And so, for example, account aggregation. People don't like doing budgets, right? We can put in our portal all of your accounts, including your house, and it even goes out to Zillow, and it'll bring everything into one place, categorize it all, create a budget for you, and do what if scenarios.
That's
And
awesome.
and what it shows and what we've shown with employers is that not only does it help that reduce that stress level, which by the way can reduce that medical cost and all the claims that they have there, 60 to 80% of the medical costs that occur are related to indirect or direct stress, right? So we help in that area. But it's also a retention and attraction tool. And I was reading some stats the other night about just being able to retain employees and what that means to the bottom line and the ROI for companies. And frankly, it helps out the companies. You know, HR people don't have time to deal with this. It's a big distraction for them. And honestly, it provides some liability to them personally and as a company, right? If they're trying to help people with some of this advice. So it helps them in a lot of different areas, and it's very affordable. And again, it pays off and
Yeah.
their return on investment for it.
Yeah, we know that the vast majority of Americans don't have access to CFPs or CPAs because they just can't afford it. You know,
Mm.
the cost to utilize, to lean into those type of professionals and utilize their services could be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Maybe talk about with financial advisor on call, the membership, maybe, what's that cost to have access to it?
Yeah, so the street price of just individuals starts off at $34, 35 for an individual, right? So you're making a, you know, less than $400 investment a year. If we get better than $400, I think you get your value out of that with all the things that we add,
Yes.
right? And even if we can help, and we're in a regulated industry, so we can't say, you're going to make $400 more, but if you look at stats, you can do much better. So that pays for itself. You get into employer plans, and we can get the price way down just because we get economies of scale, right? And it depends on the size of the employer. So the pricing of it's great. Now let's compare that, right? Let's say you pay 300 bucks a year. Let's just use that as an example. All right. It could be more or less depending on the situation. If you were to get 1 hour of a professional financial planner just to help you, you're looking at $150 to $500 per hour.
Mm.
And the average person isn't going to help you, the average planner, unless they're engaging you in a bigger plan. All right. And so typical engagement can be $5,000, $10,000 to help you with the plan. So now you have education, tools, and access to an independent planner who's not selling you products. And you get that for less than what you might spend on 1 hour of planning per year for someone to help you with things,
Yeah.
right?
Basically, $1 a day at the most.
Yeah. I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking about coffee, right?
Yeah.
that's uh,
Lord knows
it,
these things are like
it,
$8 per cup.
That's hey, do the
yeah.
senior thing at McDonald's that we talked about, and then you pay for your whole deal, right?
I don't call it Starbucks. I call it $5. Yeah, and that's cheap nowadays. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah. Now that's almost a price that you really to have access to that type of financial professional to help you go through life. It's kind of like a GPS system. It's like we use our GPSs all the time. We program. I'm here and I want to go there. Well, in order to get there, you need help. And
Yeah.
that's what your membership does from a financial standpoint. You get
Yeah,
access to this financial planners.
exactly.
Yep. And that's what I did. So I'm a customer, proud customer.
Me
And
too.
obviously at InsureTech Hub, we offer it to our insurance agent as well because you want it part of your portfolio. And you might think of as an insurance agent, oh, I already have so many customers, like how or why would I implement this? But think about it, it's the perfect marriage. You're already talking to people about their health. Why not bring in finances to be that one-stop shop, right? You want your customers and your clients to have that total protection package, and that's not just health, that's financial as well.
Yep.
So as a customer, I'm 44 and typically in 20ish years you'll retire, although I think I'll work forever. But I thought I started kind of freaking out and I'm like, I don't even know if I have enough for retirement. And what do you mean financial plan? Do I have one? Do I not have one? I think I'm good with money, but then what if I go to FA on call and they're like, yeah, you're not good with money. So can you walk us through like what a session would look like? Like what I know what it was like. It was the easiest, most peace feeling ever to go through that session. But what does a session look like and how does someone sign up?
Thanks, Michelle. So first of all, let's just reiterate, you get more benefits than that. You can do online. There's resources there. You can look things up. You can call in. Typical session, you'll go ahead and you'll schedule that just like a teledoc. There's 87 million people on teledoc, right? And so you'll
Gosh.
schedule that, and someone shows up on the screen just like this, and they help you with whatever questions you have. It's really pretty quick.
Yeah, it really was. It was like, okay, let's talk through this. Let's make sure that you've got your finances in order and then just talk to me about what your goals are. It's going to be a lot of asking questions to build that perfect plan for you. So thank you for that. It was the easiest thing to sign up ever, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, awesome.
And I think we got one more good one, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, if and some success stories. I know we talked about that, and but yes, another thing too, Jim. You talked about insurance brokers. I want because that's our space, and we do a lot in the employee benefit market. And I think this is an incredible employee benefit that brokers can offer to their groups. But another big segment of agents is life insurance agents. I think this would be a great tool for life insurance agents. If you're talking to a husband, a wife, and talking to them about their life insurance needs, their disability needs, their long-term care needs, this is an absolute perfect membership to have with that. For
Todd, we actually have a lot of life insurance agents that are involved with this. Some of them, will have it for their own account, but we do have a lot of flexibility in the program and how we do that and how we work with insurance agencies. And some agencies use this and they field their own calls and they use this as a system for them to build their own business. We have this saying, we don't want to monkey with another monkey's monkey. So we're not looking to have any sales conflict there. We just want to help out the client and help them with planning, and then any kind of implementation of that. That can be done from the insurance side or the insurance agency side. And so there's different options that we have. We're very flexible. We want to work with our customers are, of course, the public, but our core customers also our distributors that we work through. The cool thing is you don't have to be licensed for this product. That's a big deal if you are a distributor. This is a membership first and foremost. And so it's an amazing opportunity to get people in the business and get them started. They can graduate into getting licensing and everything else. But there's a win-win out there for everybody. It's just a tool, different distribution method, and a different way to deliver services.
100%. So we've talked about, obviously Todd and I are on this, and I have great things to say about it because it's been a game changer for my family. But do you have any other success stories you want to share? I think we can talk till we're blue in the face about all the services we offer, but hearing from someone who's dealt with it is so powerful.
Yeah, and Michelle, you guys have been great with your testimonies, and I really appreciate that. It always is best when it comes from people who have been successful, had successful experiences. We do, by the way, have a rating system for all of our interactions that we have. And so we're constantly monitoring our customer service, how people are interacting with them, their knowledge level, things of that nature. And we do have a lot of success stories. We have companies that have come to us that have just told us just how great it is and, how much it's helped with their productivity and their HR departments. And then we've had a lot of personal success stories. And what's cool about the personal success stories is we've had it from, people who are retiring that don't know, what to do or who to see, or they're seeing other people and they're getting confused. By the way, we're a good second opinion option also, right? We want to work with advisors. We can help people, explain maybe what they're being presented and give them some questions to ask. But we've had some people who are retiring. They've inherited money, and they're not used to having money or knowing what to do, and they're wondering whether they should pay off their house or invest it or what to do. And then honestly, we've had a lot of young people reach out also and get really excited about things. And we've had a couple, once they've learned the time value of money and what they can do and have a plan in place, they get super,
It
super
is
excited.
exciting, right? Like, I can only imagine being stressed about finances. You can't focus at college. You can't focus at your job. It's hard to put your marriage first. Like, it messes with you mentally and emotionally. So it's exciting to have that peace of mind about your finances and have a plan in place to conquer the world.
Yeah. And it's scary. And look, one of the genesis of this idea is I came from a single family home. The mom that was raising two kids on her own, it's the toughest job in the world. And if something happened to her, I mean, we would be in foster system. So, we have some single parents that I guess that's where we get some of our most joy out of that, log on to this and like, oh, okay, I do have a path here. I do have someone helping me with this. And oh, what's that? I can get life insurance, right? And so we help them with those types of things. So those are very fulfilling for us and some of the great success stories that we've had.
Jim, if someone would want to get the membership for themselves and their family, or if they wanted to potentially market this to individuals and businesses, for income, where would they go? Would they, can you let us know how they could?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to do that. And I'll tell you a lot of that. And by the way, there's not going to be a better price break or anything depending on how you do that, right? So whether you come to us directly or you work through a promoter, that's what we call our people that help in that promote the product. So I would say more than likely someone's listening to this podcast, somebody forwarded this on to them, right? Just what I know about podcasts. So if that person's a promoter, then get with that person, and that person can help direct you the right way and guide you. And even if you are interested in getting in this business, get with that person as well. Of course, they can go to your website. You guys have done a great job with that at InsurTech, and I know you've got that in the information here. And if it is if by some chance, if you don't have anybody or who's a promoter and they're not going through your website and they just found us on Google and they learned how great you guys are at presenting and how much fun our podcast is. I'm already claiming it's our podcast, but
Absolutely.
they go to
It
our
is
website.
ours.
Yeah, go to our website and you know, you can go direct through us. So that's an
And what
option.
is your website?
So you can either go financialadvisoroncall.com or faoncall.com. Either
Perfect.
one of those work.
Well, Jim, this has been an absolute pleasure. Not only, I won't hold it against you that you don't like the fattening cream and sugar in your coffee, but you were our first guest, and we can't thank you
Awesome.
enough. And I think our listeners learned a lot today. It's obviously at InsurTech Hub, our focus is health, life, and annuities, but we have no doubt that financial aspect is a huge portion of that. And so it's not too late to add this to your portfolio for open enrollment, which is only 1 month away. Holy cow.
Wow.
And Todd and I want to help you. So if you hear this podcast today and you're like, that is something that's valuable. A, you're right, it is. And B, contact us because we would love to help you. So again, this was Caffeinated Coverage Talk with Todd and Michelle. And Jim, thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was awesome. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. You guys are awesome people, by the way, people you want to be in business with. So if you're looking for an opportunity, you're definitely a group I would look into if I were somebody.
Thank you. All right, cheers, my friends.
Great. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you and your friendship and your partnership. Thank you,
Awesome,
sir.
buddy. Thank you. Take care.